Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Let me get out of the way. All right. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Valerie Hawes. I am the Organizational Learning and Development Lead here at Goodwill Columbus, and I want to welcome you back to our Facebook page. Today, we're going to talk about networking to get jobs. Before we get started, I just want to let you know I can't see you if you are participating in the chat. However, we do have a moderator who is there waiting and willing to assist you. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions that you have, and we'll be more than happy to answer them along the way. Or you can always inbox us right here on our page here at the Facebook Workforce Development page, as well as you can contact us via email. And the email address is also located on the page, but it is dfd@gwcols.com. So again, feel free to leave us a message and we'll be more than happy to assist you. We'll tell you all about the programming we have available at Goodwill Columbus and questions about different courses that we're adding in. Also, make sure you browse through the page and see some of the courses we've done in the past, okay? So today, let's talk about networking. First, let me pull up my presentation here. And let me make it bigger so everyone can see it. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So again, we're talking about networking. And people have different ways and different ideas about networking. And a lot of times people are making connections for the purpose of getting to know others that are like-minded or have similar interests. But it's always great to consider networking as a part of your job search process. And we'll talk a little bit more as to why that is. Let's get started. So let's define networking first. So just so we're clear, the definition of networking is the development and maintenance of mutually valuable relationships. And there's some key words there. The key words are development, maintenance, and mutually valuable relationship. When I hear development, that tells me it's not a one-time chance encounter introduction, okay? Development and maintenance both take time and effort. So it's not just meeting someone, thinking they're great, and never contacting them ever again. Okay, so you'll want to keep that in mind. And when we say mutually valuable relationships, mutually valuable means what it says. It's very straightforward. It can't be a one-way relationship. When we are meeting up with people, especially in networking environments or for the purpose of networking, we want to make sure that we're not just trying to drain from the person. We don't want to just suck all of the knowledge and good stuff out of them. We want to be able to share something back too. So it's important that it's mutually valuable. And why is it important that we talk about this? Very simple. Networking is the number one way to get a job. The number one way. When I say that, if you really think about it, in normal terms, in our past, and when I say in the way past, I mean 2 months ago, okay? If you were going out to apply for a job, 9 times out of 10, there are going to be many people applying for the same job that you're applying for, okay? Maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe even more. So it depends on the type of role and the company that you are looking to work for. And when you apply for the job, if you aren't the only one applying for the job, there's no real guarantee that the recruiter is going to see your resume or consider you. You could be the most qualified person. You could have the best experience ever. You could have a beautiful resume, but if they don't see it, it doesn't matter. And here's the other thing. You may have all of those qualities and still not be the best person or the only one with those same qualifications. So networking is going to be key. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. The other thing, when I said way past, when I was saying 2 months ago, that was the case then. We have millions upon millions upon millions of people that are applying for unemployment as we speak weekly. So what was true before is 10 times as true today. During this pandemic, because there's so many people on unemployment, you will be competing with maybe hundreds, if not thousands of people applying for the same job. I know that sounds ludicrous, but it's a reality now. And so you have to find a way to stand out above the rest. Now, let's talk a little bit about brand. And someone may be saying, well, why are we talking about brand? I thought we were talking about networking. Well, honestly, you can't network properly if you aren't familiar with your own brand. And when I say brand, we're talking about a few things. What makes you valuable to an employer? What makes you unique? What skills do you have, and how do you apply them differently to the workforce? And then you can go on to share your professional experience and how that experience gives you an edge. So if you aren't fully aware of those things about yourself, it's hard to articulate your brand to someone else. And people are always looking to figure out who you are and what is your brand. Yes, we all have a brand, not just Kellogg's, not just Nike, not just, I don't know, Victoria's Secret. All of those are great brands and they're corporations in and of itself, but you too have a brand. Now, some of us have put more energy into developing our own brands and some have not. But I would tell you right now that if you do not put some energy into developing your brand, people are going to brand you. People are going to brand you. Sometimes we call them labels, and you may not like the label or the brand that they place on you. So if you put the effort into your brand, and that is who you are, how you present yourself, what it is you have to offer, your professionalism or lack thereof, your integrity, all of those things make up your brand. What's your brand? Know that before you put yourself in a position to network, and definitely make sure that you know that before you put yourself in a position to interview, all right? Now, when do you start connecting? You should start right now. And you can use whatever contacts you already have. You can often learn about prospective openings at a job from other employees that work there. Sometimes there are jobs available or they're going to come available and they haven't been posted yet. They haven't been posted on Indeed. They haven't been posted on the company website. You may hear about it from somebody who already works there for the company. Think about it. Have you ever worked somewhere and you knew that someone was going to put in their 2 weeks notice and they hadn't even done it yet, but you were fully aware that it was going to happen? If you're networking properly and you're really talking to people and you're connecting and you're making others aware of your interests, you too may learn of an opportunity just like that. And then another way that you can learn about opportunities is through cold calling. Cold calling, much like telemarketers have a list of names and numbers that they reach out to, you too can cold call for jobs. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that might work. So maybe you find that there are certain companies in particular that you're very interested in working for. You may know that for years you've wanted to work for L Brands. For years you wanted to work for Nike, Wendy's, whoever it is that you want it to work for, you may not see the posting. You may not even know anyone specifically there. So you may have to call them to find out how to connect with someone, either a hiring manager, a recruiter, someone in the organization. So when you do that, you want to call and verify the name and title of the person that you're reaching in the company who might be able to hire you. And this could be a HR manager, a recruiter. It might be the hiring manager if you know the department, and if it's a smaller company. You want to be able to inquire about a specific type of job though. So before you call, make sure that you know fully what you're qualified to do and what it is you want to do. And so by doing that, by calling in and connecting with these HR managers, because again, you may need to connect with several, because depending upon how large the company is, they may have several different recruiters that are recruiting for the same position. So you'll want to get a few names, touch base, and see if there's a way that you can find out if they're hiring for that position, if some positions are going to come available in the future, and make sure that you present yourself well over the phone so that they keep you in mind in the future. Now, before you call, however, you want to have a mini script that you put together. And maybe it looks something like this. Say, hello, my name is Valerie. I got your name by going out to LinkedIn. I'm interested in a training position. Who would be in charge of that department? So if you have a little mini script written out, you don't sound like you're rambling, you sound like you're very sure of yourself, you want to rehearse it before you make that call, and then just take a moment or two and jot that down and then give a call to the person. Now, if you notice, I mentioned that when I called and I told the person how I learned of them, it could have been through a website, it could have been something you saw on television. But one of the best ways to prepare for cold calling in particular, or even by reaching out to people via email or what have you, is by going out to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional social media site that is very helpful in this way. People are literally out there because they're connecting, they're as entrepreneurs, as job seekers, as hiring managers, as recruiters. So it is a professional site, and it is for the purpose of connecting. It is truly a networking opportunity in and of itself right there on the web for professionals. Now, when you're cold calling, I want you to first make a list and a goal of all of the number of calls you want to make each day. And when you make those calls and you're reaching out, make sure you have your script ready. When you're reaching out to make these calls, you'll want to call them at least 5 to 7 times until you get an answer back. Yes, I know it sounds like a lot. I don't mean call them 5 to 7 times in one day. No. I want you to call them maybe once a day for 5 to 7 days straight until they call you back. Now, I've never had to call anybody 5 to 7 times to get them to call me back. But when you do, you want to make sure you're not calling at the same time each and every day. There are certain times in the day when most professionals are checking in at a minimum. If you have a very busy executive or you have a very busy recruiter who has to reach out to tons of people, they probably have set a schedule for themselves. But one thing is typically true for most. When they come into work first thing in the morning, they're checking their emails and their voicemails. Then they may go off to their appointments or follow their schedule as planned. And then they will check in again around lunch for their voicemails and their emails. Then they may check in later again after lunch. And then finally, they tend to check in one last time at the end of the day. So my suggestion for you is when you are calling, making these cold calls, you'll want to reach out to them the first time, maybe first thing in the morning, 8 between that 8 and 9 o'clock hour. You may catch them right there at their desk. Then if you don't hear from them that day, the next day, call them right before lunch. They don't call you back the next day, call them right after lunch. The next day, call them at the end of the day. And you'll want to do that up to 5 to 7 times. Now, again, I don't believe that you'll have to do this 5 to 7 times. You know why? I believe they're going to call you back. And if for no other reason, they're probably going to call you back because they want you to stop leaving so many messages on their voicemail. Okay. So if all they have to do to get you to stop calling is to call you back, then that's probably what they're going to do. All right. Now that's good in many ways, because if there aren't any positions available or they aren't looking for someone to do the things that you can offer, then you know that and you're not wasting their time or your own. But you may find that when they call you back, it's an opportunity for an actual dialogue with the person. And you want to see it as that. So, it takes effort. You'll have to keep trying. Now, along the way, there's a good chance that you will bump into some roadblocks. A lot of times those roadblocks, we like to refer to them as gatekeepers, okay? That's probably the biggest roadblock along the way. And the gatekeepers in a organization might be the receptionist. It could be the assistant or executive assistant of the person you're trying to reach. It could be security. It could be a lot of people. You'll want to make sure that you're respectful to all of those people, and you'll want to make sure that you are treating each person along the way just as they have value. And because you may need a little something from them, you may need to impress them a bit in order to get to that executive, that person that you want to talk to. Their job as the gatekeeper is to ensure that people aren't calling their boss and wasting their boss's time. That's their job. So they're going to do their job. Now, when you call, you may hear something like, we aren't hiring right now. Okay, so you'll want to respond with, I understand, but I would still like to send my resume for future consideration. Is that all right? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. And they may or may not be the person that you'll want to send that to. So whatever information they give to you, you'll want to make sure that you gather the person's name, the date you spoke with them, write down their email address and their phone number, and then thank the person for their assistance. Now, you'll want to jot all of that down for a couple of reasons. One, because you'll want to journal that as you are keeping track of all of the different companies and the people that you have reached out to. Also, of course, you'll need that information if you want to send your resume, and then later to follow up. And then lastly, maybe you send it off to them. They say that they're not hiring at this particular time, but 3 months down the road, you see the posting for that position. They are hiring now. It would be great to call back and reintroduce yourself and remind the person that you applied for this job months ago and you had your eye out for this particular role with their company. And when you're able to share with them the date, time, who you spoke with, it shows organization, it shows persistence, it shows professionalism. And again, all of that is a demonstration of your true brand. Again, when you're cold calling, once you have someone's phone number, you're reaching out to them, you'll want to leave a message, try to schedule an interview, but make sure that you are researching the organization's website so that you understand as much as you possibly can about the company and what they do and the culture of the company. As I mentioned before, you will want to set up a list of how many calls you want to make and who you want to call each day. Set a goal for yourself. That way you will stay on track and you'll be that much closer to landing that job. And again, you want to follow up, return calls again and again and again. So what are the things that keep people from networking? A lot of times the things that get in the way is fear. Sometimes it's personality types. We all have different personality types, but if you don't understand the beauty of adjusting your communication style and understanding the personality and communication styles of others, you may find yourself clashing a lot more often than you think. Sometimes people they don't network because they feel like it's unfamiliar territory. This is forcing me out of my comfort zone and I just don't like it. But the truth is you can't grow and you can't advance if you aren't pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone. And the other thing, procrastination gets in the way. So you got to get started, and you got to get started right away. Here's some helpful hints. Practice with friends on introducing yourself and talking about your skills, interests, and experience. One way you can do this is through an elevator pitch. And tomorrow, I believe, tomorrow at 10, I'll be talking a little bit more about elevator pitches and how you can go about preparing for these networking opportunities. And then lastly, make up your mind to meet new people and to stay in touch. Remember, it's all about mutually valuable relationships that are being developed and maintained. And you can't develop and maintain something in a one-time occurrence. You got to be ready to meet people, force yourself out there, and then stay in touch. All right? Well, that's all I have for you today. Please join me tomorrow as we discuss the elevator pitch that's going to be key in this networking process to get a job. Also, make sure you check out some of the classes we've done over the last couple of days, this week and the last couple of weeks in general. We've got new material that we're sharing this week and next week, and we'll continue to add new presentations along the way. So with that said, I hope that you learned a little something. I hope that you're going to stretch, get out there, start connecting today, and good job at networking and getting a job, okay? Thank you to everybody. Please leave your messages in the chat. Thank you to our moderator, and I'll see you guys later.